If your life was a book, what chapter would you be on and why? You have 30 seconds to type. I've asked so many people this question and they've all had pretty interesting answers. My older sister says she's on her chapter 3. My boyfriend said he's on either 3 or 4. My cousin is on her chapter 2. My dad said that he's on at least chapter 100, while my mom is on her chapter 4. What really got me thinking the most, however, is that my 23-year-old best friend is just now entering her chapter 2. I'm 23 and I feel like I'm entering my chapter 3. Now, I know this probably all sounds confusing, and I promise you that there is absolutely no point to be made here. This is just Craft With Me, episode 4. No! Oh my god. It's Craft With Me, episode 5, and this series is all about relaxing and having a friendly chat. Before we get into it, let me explain what's happening in today's video. I'm a little all out of sorts today, so bear with me. There's this little cave underneath the pond, and I've decided to make it a little tiny swamp village. So right now I'm starting with making a big amethyst tree in the center. And yeah, you can just watch to see how that plays out, but I don't really know how else to explain it. Honestly, I suck at building trees, so I had to look up an inspiration photo on Pinterest and try to copy that to the best of my ability. I find the chapter question so interesting because I have spent 23 years trying to escape the reality of life and its mundane milestones. I've been an adult for 5 years now, but in a lot of ways, I still have a childlike view of the world. And in my kiddish brain, I thought that the only big milestones you'd ever reach in your life are graduation, job promotion, marriage, kids, death. Have you guys ever listened to that song by Danny Gonzalez? I'm gonna link it in the description, but it pretty much sums up how I viewed life.
It's all downhill from here. You're at the top, look at you, time to get a job and then grow old and then die.
But doesn't that sound like the standard script for a happy movie? For the longest time, I thought that would be the only 5 milestones to look forward to, and I hated the idea of all of them. I never factored in the milestones that actually matter, the ones that really no one teaches you about. And you're gonna say, that's so stupid, how come you didn't think of that? Because I tend to look at the bigger picture of things and never really stop and appreciate the smaller things in life. I wonder if this has anything to do with my tendency to overthink things, or maybe it's my impatience, where I can't just let my life live out without having a plan, or I need to hurry up and hit the milestones before I run out of time, or I don't know what it is. But for the longest time, this was my biggest fear. In high school, I was really struggling with that fear of life being mundane. I guess it's an easy fear to develop when you think about it. When I was 17, I was really trying to consider a future for myself. I had a lot of different passions back then, and I still do. So going to college wasn't really an option for me because I could never just pinpoint exactly which major I would want. And a part of me felt like after a year I would want to change that major, or maybe I don't even need schooling for what I wanted to be. It was a fear of not being able It's almost like My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. Yes, I'm comparing life to that. The Cutie Mark Crusaders. You're trying to figure out what your cutie mark is going to be, and you can't figure it out for the life of you. But everyone around you is getting their cutie mark, and you're the only one without one. That's what life feels like for me. And even though I've gone through these chapters, and I'll break them down for you in a minute, but even though I've gone through these chapters of my life, I still sort of feel this fear that when I'm on my deathbed or something, I'll have a lot of things to regret not doing. That got really dark. Once again, if you haven't, let me know what chapter you are on in the comments and why you feel that way. Let me break down the reasoning for my answer. Chapter 1 for me was when I was born, childhood. It was kind of unchanging for a long 17 years. I was crazy ambitious. I was wild. I had insane goals to live up to, and I would just keep telling myself, adult me will live up to those passions. Adult me will do that. All throughout high school and into my senior year, I just kept telling myself, wait until you're 18. Wait until you graduate. Things will be different. I don't know why I held so much hope in 18, but it wasn't that much of a difference. As soon as that graduation cap flew out of my hands, though, the end of high school, that was the end of my chapter 1. High school was so difficult for me because, like I said, that fear that I'm not going to figure it out and that I'll spend the rest of my life not knowing. So when chapter 2 came, I thought that was going to be my moment, my era. And I had a lot of plans. I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I planned to be spontaneous in chapter 2 and really just to be passionate about what I'm doing, no matter what it is. Does this look like a tree to you? However, things do not always go according to plan. We entered lockdown in my chapter 2. Immediately after I graduated high school, I dealt with a lot of emotion during this time, which I'm sure everybody else did too. I'd spent my whole life waiting for this chapter, and now it's on hold again. During this chapter 2, the friend group that I had really wanted to work, we were on and off my entire chapter 1. And I really thought that once we became adults, we were going to be better people for each other. It didn't end up working out between us, and that was for the better, but at the time it felt really bad. I'll go into that more in detail, though. I want to talk about toxic friendships that I've been in. Also, in chapter 2, I got my first full-time job right after COVID lockdown restrictions were lifted. And you know what? That first full-time job, they took advantage of my people-pleasing tendencies and worked me to the bone. Chapter 2 was very much a rude awakening for me. The ambition, the drive, the sparkle I had in my eyes, it died. Chapter 2 was my villain era. Chapter 3, however, took a turn for the better. I learned how to stand up for myself, and I ended up quitting that job. It was really hard for me, being a quiet people pleaser, to sit down in front of my manager and tell him all the ways he messed up and how he was a terrible person, blah, blah, blah. And it was very scary. I was shaking the entire time, but it felt so good. And after that, I realized I'd never let anybody walk all over me again. And also sort of realizing that the memory of my toxic friendships was still living rent free in my head too. So that's something I'm working through in my chapter 3. Trying to reverse the trauma in my life. Nobody's going to use me as a doormat. And nobody's going to live in my brain rent free. I found this new job that I actually kind of care about. And I'm taking my time to work on myself and figure out my personality. I'm trying to learn how to love myself and others again. And how to become passionate and stay passionate. I've lost a lot of that passion in my chapter 2. And in my chapter 3, I'm really trying to bring that spark back to my life. These are far from the milestones I thought I'd be reaching in life. I'm having an epiphany and it feels amazing. It feels like I'm excited to live life. I feel like I'm gaining that little spark again. I'm working through my issues when it comes to my brain block. I'm trying to journal more. I'm trying to dig deep and figure out why I feel certain feelings and how to reverse them. I never would have imagined that this would be my chapter 3. And I definitely would have never imagined my chapter 2 the way that it was. But looking back on it, I'm really happy that there's more to life than what was just in the movies. And I find it so interesting too that other people are going through different chapters of their life, even though we're the same age, or my mom going through 4 chapters in her life. It's very interesting to see how people categorize their milestones. I don't know how many milestones I'm going to hit in my life, and there's no way of predicting that either. And I'm not expecting that anymore. I'm not planning it out anymore. I just want to relax and be passionate about something, follow through with a project, and just be happy. Whatever comes, comes, you know? It is what it is. So let me ask you again, just in case you got too entranced by my amazing voice and my beautiful building skills, type it out in the comment section below. If your life was a book, what chapter would you be on? And please let me know why, because it's so interesting to me. And it's helping me understand that there's way more to life than just this. I knew it. I knew I didn't finish this. Oh no. Oh no. I don't have any footage of me building the actual rest of this cave, but I tried to make this little build look like a tree trunk with mushrooms growing out of it. It doesn't really look the way that I wanted it to look, but you can see the inspiration photo in the bottom right corner, and you can see how much I tried. So be nice to me. You know what it's missing? Thank you so much for tuning in to my chapter 5, not 4, of Craft with Me. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.